Welcome and good evening. We will call the Wednesday, May 21st, Kildable Hills Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you will, in a moment, we'll take a moment of silence. First, I would ask that you please keep Kathy Miller in your thoughts. She's undergoing chemo, and anyway, still, she's doing well. And apparently, came in and worked an hour or so today. So, but please continue to think of her. And also, we're on the heels of Memorial Day. Monday, we'll be celebrating Memorial Day. There's actually a service here at Town Hall it's a Veterans Day Memorial, it's a Memorial Day service at 12:30 here. So certainly if you'll think of the sacrifice our service members make, as we also call this moment of silence, please. Thank you. And with that, next on the agenda is the agenda approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the first time set aside this evening for public comment. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak at this first public comment? Okay. All right, then we will move on to introductions. And this is always a fun time of the year, fun meeting of the year, where we have the presentation of our ocean rescue lifeguards for the summer season 2014.
Mayor, Commissioners, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you your 2014 Ocean Rescue Lifeguard staff. I have asked Mr. Elder to give a few brief statements before we do our introductions.
John's going to go ahead and introduce himself and the guards. My name is John Gates. How you guys doing? I've been with the town for 18 years with the fire department, and this year the opportunity came up and you guys made it available, so I was able to cross over and work in the fire department in the wintertime and ocean rescue in the summer. And boy, the last 2 weeks have been exciting. Still haven't had a day off, I don't think, but it's been 80 hours is what we put these first-year lifeguards through training every year, and they've been working hard. I've been working hard at night. We got some kids in high school that go to school all day, then they're in class at night till 9 o'clock. It's been a great transition from steel-toed boots to flip-flops. I appreciate that one, and it looks like it's going to be a great summer. So I'm real happy to introduce the staff. Very happy with the training that we've been doing. The supervisory staff's in gray. All the lifeguards are in white, so they'll be roving on the patrol and on the ATVs this summer, and the lifeguards will be sitting in the stand. So I really appreciate the opportunity to cross over, and it's been a it's a great start so far, and all the feedback from the staff. It's been a great year so far. So without ado, I guess we're going to start with our number one. Kristen's going to introduce herself.
I am Kristen Weaver. I've been with Kettleville Hills for 10 years, or 10 seasons. I'm also getting ready to celebrate my second year with Dare County EMS, and I'm a brand new homeowner in Kettleville Hills. So.
How's it going? My name is Benjamin Battle. This is my 9th season with Ocean Rescue. I've been a National Ski Patroller up in Vermont for the past 5 winters. I just got my AMT certification as well as my national. I'm excited as well.
My name is Hunter Barkins. This will be my 6th summer with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue. Local since 7th grade, and looking to go to Florida to hopefully get a master's in mechanical engineering.
Hi everyone, my name is Peter Solian. This will be my 6th summer with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue. I have 1 semester left at University of North Carolina, Wilmington, where I'm studying mathematics and economics. And I'm an Alabama student.
Hey everybody, my name is Devin Clark. Kettleville Hills native. This will be my 4th season with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue and my 11th year with Kettleville Hills Fire Department. And looking forward to a good year.
My name is Billy Taronis. This is my 4th season with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue. Been on the Outer Banks since I was about 6 years old. Just graduated with my associates from COA, and I'm going to Western Carolina in the fall to work for my bachelor's.
My name is Dave Milano. I've lived in Kettleville Hills my whole life. It's my 4th year with KDHOR. Looking forward to this one.
Hello everyone, my name is Tanner Deal. This is also my 4th year. I'm from Hagerstown, Maryland. I recently graduated college and will be attending Syracuse University Law School in the fall.
Hi, my name is Rachel Pereira. This is also my 4th summer with KDHOR, and I'm also from Hagerstown, Maryland. And I will be a senior this year at the University of Kentucky, majoring in kinesiology and exercise science. Hi, I'm Hannah Lucia. I was born and raised in Kitty Hawk. This is my 4th season with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue, and I'm studying sociology and psychology at the University of North Carolina.
Hi everybody, my name is Jacob Rainey. This is my 3rd summer lifeguarding KDHOR. I'll be a senior at James Madison University in Virginia, and I'm from Newport Beach, Virginia.
Hi guys, my name is Jake Littleman. I've lived in KDH my entire life. This will be my 3rd year at KDHOR, and I'm studying biomedical engineering at Eastern.
I'm Joey Wise. This is my 3rd summer with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue. I attended First Light High School as a senior, and in the fall I'll be going to UNC Wilmington.
I'm Aaron Robinson. This is my 3rd year with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue, and I'm studying psychology at East Carolina University.
Hi, I'm Katie Appleman. This is my 3rd year with the organization, and I'm a rising freshman at UNC.
Hi, my name is Sarah Beecham. This is my 2nd year with this organization. I'm an upcoming freshman at Barton studying.
Hi, my name is Emily Garner. This will be my 2nd year lifeguarding here with Kettleville Hills, and I will be going to COA.
My name is Tyler Tonneson. This is my 2nd year with Kettleville Hills Ocean Rescue, and as a will be a freshman at the University of Business.
Hey, I'm AJ Christ. I'm going to be a junior at Marshall College, or university now. This is my 2nd year at KDHOR.
I'm Jay Donahue. This is my 2nd year at KDHOR. I'm also from Hagerstown, Maryland, and I just graduated from St. Vincent College with a degree in organizational biology.
Hi, I'm Blake Campbell. This is my 2nd year with KDH. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm a senior at James Madison University studying CIS.
Hi, I'm Meredith Knapp. This is my 2nd year with KDHOR. I'm from St. Augustine, Florida, and
Ryan Martin. I go to school at Mars Hill University. I'm from Clarksville, Georgia, and this will be my 1st year doing Ocean Rescue.
Hello everyone, my name is Delvis Bro. I'm from Elizabeth City. I go to Northeastern where I'm a junior, and this is my 1st year doing Ocean Rescue.
Hi, I'm Emily Gayberg. I'm from Suffolk, Virginia. This will be my 1st year at Ocean Rescue, and I'll be attending Virginia Tech next year.
Hi, I'm Ryan Ellis. I'm a senior at First Light High School.
going to UNC Wilmington next year, and this will be my first year at KDH Ocean Rescue.
Hey, I'm Daniel Brake. I'm a junior at First Light High School. This will be my first year with KDHOR, and I've lived here my whole life.
Hi, my name's Logan Beal. This will be my first year with KDH. I graduated First Light High School last year. I'm originally from Hagerstown, Maryland, and I'm planning to go into the Air Force this fall.
Hi, I'm Anna Blake. I've lived here all my life. This is my first year at KDHOR. I go to First Light High School and I'm going to be uprising junior.
I'm Chelsea Wiggins. It's my first year with Kildover Hills Ocean Rescue. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I will be receiving my bachelor's degree of science in kinesiology from James Madison University in December.
Hi, I'm Sam Angelo. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I study accounting and business administration at Westminster College in Pennsylvania, and this is my first year here with KDHOR.
My name's Trevor Tilley. I moved here from Chesapeake, Virginia, been in Outer Banks about a year. I went to Wilson Community College Fire Rescue Academy, got certified as a firefighter, hoping to make a career out of that. I'm also on the Collington Fire Department, and this will be my first year in Ocean Rescue.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bro. I go to Northeastern High School. I'm an uprising junior, and this is my first year with the organization.
Hi, I'm Chase Barkington. This is my first year with KDH Ocean Rescue. I'm a senior at First Flight High School, and I've been local since the 4th grade.
Hi, I'm Lucas Thomas. I am in 10th grade. I'm homeschooled, and I'm from Virginia Beach, and this is my first year Ocean Rescue.
I'm Weston Carmichael. I moved here when I was in 5th grade. I attend Central Wyoming College in Riverton, Wyoming, and this is my first year.
I'm Taylor Simmons. I go to First Light High School. I'm a senior. This is my first year at Ocean Rescue, and I'm going to be going into cosmetology school.
I'm Laura Renee. I'm a sophomore at First Light High School, and this is my first year at Garden for KDH.
Hi everybody, my name is Anse Fitzfo. I'm from Canada, so this is my first year at Ocean Rescue. In Canada, I will be doing my first year university, doing my major in management at Concordia University. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, there we are. As you can see, this is the first time I can remember, I believe, the first time that we've been fully staffed from day one. Overwhelming response by word of mouth. These kids have done a lot of work up to this point. Couple statistics, 88% of these guys are local. 66% of them returning to us with more than 6 years of experience. Last year, we ran a little over 1,100 calls. In those 1,100 calls, we pulled about 700 people out of the ocean, a little more than. Less than 1% of them received further medical care after they left our care. These guys do a lot of good work. A lot of the best work that we do is preventative, getting to people before they even know they're in trouble. And that's the biggest part of what the numbers here do for us, is it gives us a good presence on the beach, good lines of sight from the stands, and good people who can depend on each other. And this training has done a lot to bring them all together, and we all know what we should be doing and how we should be acting. So it's one big, very, very fun family. And the training has been arduous up to this point, and now I just can't wait for them all to start looking in the same direction instead of at me. You all have a great evening. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us this summer and for your service. You certainly have a very important role. We all recognize that. We all enjoy our beaches. Some of us have young children, so it's really important that to have you guys in the stands and helping look after the guests that are here as well as the residents. So we thank you so much for your service, and we all hope we have a safe and happy summer. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see these guys with 10 years of service.
It's awesome. And all the new people, too. That's great.
And 80% local. It's good, too. Good for the economy.
Brain power right there.
I know.
I know.
That one right there is in mathematics. We should get it to stay.
The one going to law school.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great. Okay. In your packet, we have 2 proclamations this evening as well. These were certainly relevant, kind of nice to have in conjunction with the introduction of our lifeguards. The first proclamation is on National Beach Safety Week, which is June 1st through the 8th. And so the objective of National Beach Safety Week is to basically educate and kind of a public awareness campaign about the importance of beach safety. So with that, a motion would be in order to adopt a proclamation declaring the week of June 1st through the 8th as National Beach Safety Week in Kittle Hills.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And the second proclamation is Rip Current Awareness Week, which is also June 1st through the 8th, kind of, in accordance with Beach Safety Week. Certainly, we know the importance of rip current awareness and how dangerous that can be. So this is an important proclamation to put awareness out there about the dangers of rip currents. I know on the GovEd channel they've been running information. They certainly did last year. I'm not sure if it started this year about recognizing rip currents. So, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to our general work session this evening, which is on the town manager's recommended budget for fiscal year 2014-2015. Okay. In past years, we've done this a couple of different ways. We have had the Beverly, who, by the way, happy birthday. If you guys didn't know, today is Beverly's birthday.
She also shares a birthday with Greg Loy.
Oh, I did not know that.
Which this is a big birthday for the town.
Ah,
Several
so Greg was
lucky
able to
21.
have off.
Yeah.
But because we're doing budget, you're well, I hope you get an
Yeah.
extra night to make up your birthday.
What a great birthday present.
I'm getting holiday
Yeah.
pay. Just kidding.
That's right. I don't think we budgeted
So
that.
moved.
I'm just
So moved.
That's right. Well, thank you for spending your special
Yes,
day
thank
doing the budget with us. But anyway, in past years, what we have done is we have kind of gone through section by section where Beverly can provide highlights as well as other staff. If you see, we have all pretty much the departments here represented that can speak on different items. You can ask questions that you may have come up with specifically in your review, kind of just as a focused move through of the budget. If you would like to do it that way, that's great. Otherwise, we can just start with questions. So I guess really depends on which way you prefer, whether to move through systematically or just...
Let's do systematically.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's do it. All right. Section 1 was just kind of your overview notes of the budget, and then we get into the detail in the future sections. So, let's see. But Beverly, I'll let you pick it up with kind of introductions to sections, and I'm not really sure if, sections, 2 and 3.
Well, sections 2 is the budget ordinances.
We're going to get into the details in later sections.
And I don't know that this is the proper time. There is one budget ordinance that we would like to discuss before the night's over, and that would be the fire station capital project ordinance. That ordinance, is this a good time to start?
I think
with that?
so. Basically, what we would like to do with that ordinance is to no longer have it in effect and actually have the balance in that ordinance go back into the general fund. And if just by consensus we can kind of get a nod of head, then what we would do is bring that to you at the June 9th meeting as an agenda item.
Okay. For the for I was going to say we might need to go into a little bit
Okay.
of historical detail for some of the newer board members.
And that is on page what is it? Is that 15 XV?
This was the joint station that we were
Right.
planning.
Yes.
at some- Okay.
Yes.
What page?
XV,
It's
so
XV.
15.
Okay, 15, I got it.
My page numbers got killed.
And so basically there were,
This project
Funds
started,
appropriated.
yes, this project started, let's see, it was adopted in 2006, and we started it. It didn't go forward. We have been carrying it as an ordinance. There is a balance in that capital project fund, and what we would simply like to do is close that balance, and I want to say it's roughly $88,000 into the general fund, and at such time later down the road, we decide to visit another fire station, then we would just go forward with a new ordinance.
right. And for, back at the time when this ordinance was adopted in 2006, there was the interest in both the town of Kittle Hills and the town of Nags Head to do a collaborative venture with building this right at the southern end of the town of Kittle Hills. The property actually right across from Harris Teeter, correct? So, but since then, financially times have changed, as well as I think even an interest in just that type of joint venture. So, is there a consensus? Well, first off, do you have any specific questions about that?
With that 88,000 roughly, is that allocated towards something if it moves into the general fund, or, okay?
Not unless you wanted it to be, we just roll it into the undesignated fund balance.
And kind of our reason for speaking to that this evening is to just sort of keep in the back of your mind that you do have that 88,000. If there's something that
Well, that was gonna be my next question.
Right.
We've talked about, the
Various
shoreline
things.
access
Right.
improvements and things like that. I mean, that would certainly get
Sure.
my nod. But in general, moving it to the fund, I'm
Then
good
it's
with that.
available.
Designated.
Mhm. Okay, is there consensus then to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll have that on the agenda for the June 9th. Beverly would do a budget amendment, and we'll make it an agenda item so that there can be any additional discussion that you'd like to have.
And then we just
Great.
remove that ordinance from the budget.
Sounds good.
And then the other ordinances that are there just kind of follow along with the budget. If you would like, I think maybe turning to page 2 would be a good place to start.
Page 2.
Number 2 or room
Four.
number 2?
Number two.
Number 2.
Regular 2.
Section
Oh,
4.
which
Page
section,
2.
sorry.
Section
Oh,
two.
I'm sorry,
Page 2 is section 4.
That's
Section
okay,
4,
that's
page
just-
2.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
In talking to the revenues, you see some of the bullets there. This budget does have the 3-cent ad valorem increase. You see what has been estimated for growth in the local and state sales tax, the occupancy tax, land transfer tax, and we're very pleased to say that there is some growth in these, because for some time we saw no growth. In fact, we saw the opposite. You see the POW bill distribution, growth on our general sales tax and electricity, project energy consumption, and then the water fund administrative cost allocation. What this is, to give you a little history, this is the things that the general fund, whether it be staff such as Beverly and her department, myself and Sean, Mary, anyone in the general fund department that things that we do for the water fund, which is an enterprise fund, this pays the general fund for that. I think our building and grounds does some work over there. Then there's some things that, as opposed to knowing every little thing, Beverly will do a cost allocation, and we'll come up with one of those as we get more into the details, and I'll share with you that as an example. So that's what that allocation is, and Beverly does a formula where we're able to justify that amount. It's not just something she pulls out of the sky. So that's where the water fund pays the general fund for services rendered. Okay? And then if you want to go into the line item for the revenues, that's on same section 4, page 4. I think we're done with the Roman numerals. That was just in the budget ordinance. We estimate the revenues very conservatively, pretty much hoping that if anything, they'll go up. And Mayor, if we could either go line by line, or if anyone has a specific question on a revenue item.
I recommend we start off with questions, because otherwise, I mean, to go line item by line item with every section, we'd probably need 4 or 5 nights, as thick as this is. And just so you know, if we go through a section and you think of something later, there's no problem to come back, or if that triggers it. But probably what I would recommend is we go through each major section of the budget, bring up any questions or comments that we have related to any items we've seen through our review, do it at that level, and then we can come back and refine questions if you need to. Okay. So does anyone have any questions with any of the revenues presented? This would be on pages 4, 5, and 6 of section 4.
I would like to make one statement. The revenue projections are in total. And what you see and the manager's recommended is our levy percentage applied to that total growth. So if it's 3.75% growth in sales tax, our levy share is multiplied by that growth. So if you look at it, and it doesn't exactly say it's not exactly 3.75% between the estimated actual and the manager's recommended. That's why. The total growth to the county is what that number represents.
At the bottom of page 4, we have these grant items that are no longer being funded. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's the shoreline. Let's see. Actually, it's drug enforcement reimbursement, shoreline management, body armor, bicycle, and pedestrian. Right.
Right. They have either lived their term or were one time. Or you're still seeing them because of the years that they were showing, 11, 12, and 12, 13. So they'll start to, after this year, they'll start to fade off the page.
You know, we're accountants, we like to tie that number back to some historical thing.
But yes, all of our COPS grants and officer grants, we're
fully funding.
Fully funding those positions.
So okay. So we're making up the loss here for these grants, correct?
Well, we're just fully funding.
Yes,
those
we're fully
positions.
funding. Right. That's what.
Well, some of them were just one-time grants.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
And is for line item 432230, which is the sales tax for video programming, is there any reason other than just being conservative with the budget, that we would be budgeting, under estimated actuals for not only this year, but also even back from 2012, 2013? Is there any indication that that's going to go down, or is it just being conservative?
The league sends out about budget time what their projections are in various revenue sources that are statewide, and I kind of go by their indicators, and it is indicated that those figures are declining.
Would go down. And I guess that could be the same thing too with is that with the sales tax from electricity?
Let's see.
Yeah. The 387.
Actually, that's an increase. So that's showing an increase.
Let's see. Yes, local sales tax increase 3.75. Electricity sales tax increasing 3%. Telecommunications sales tax would be down 4%. The other one that's down 4% is the local video programming revenues.
So that's that $10,000, yeah.
1%.
It is, the electricity sales tax is up from
It's
what
up.
we had estimated last year for the financial plan.
Right.
Yeah, it was 340 to
Yeah,
387.
it is different. And
Yeah.
actually, the estimated actuals, I stopped, messing with this at a certain point, but it is less. It's not, I don't even think that we'll get 176,000 as estimated at this point.
So it's already started
Mhm.
declining.
So the tax on the video programming, is that just for cable, or is that for all providers, or?
Wow, I have to read that and see. I think it's all of the providers, but, it is. Yeah, I think it is all of the providers.
Okay.
But I'll check on that and just clarify it.
Because it should be, we wouldn't be there just to charge
No, yeah.
the charter, not
Mhm.
the direct, no.
And I think I do have that information in here somewhere. If we take a break, I'll look at it.
And the PAL bill, is that a formula that's given to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this year, we're projecting more revenue than what was originally budgeted. The budgeted number, I'm guessing, is the same formula. I mean, it's the same as next year's budgeted amount. Any thoughts on why we were thinking we'd have that jump for this year?
You mean more conservative, the 240?
Well, no, the figure's the actual same as we've budgeted in previous years, but we're under estimated actual for this year, the 243,695, sorry, I'm on page 4, section 4, item 440000.
And Powell bill, according to this chart again from the league.
From the league, okay, these are
It's
league
gonna be
figures.
off, less, like 1%. And, Powell bill is, when it comes in, we only budget the expenditure related to, it's a wash. Powell bill revenue and Powell bill expenditures. And that fund balance, whatever's left in the Powell bill fund, rolls forward every year. So if those revenues do come in higher, we can just amend the budget for those additional revenues. But I'm just a conservative
Yeah,
budgeter. So
sure.
I'd rather add
Do
to
a
the
budget
budget
amendment later.
than, to try to figure out where we're gonna come up with that money, so.
Well, and I wasn't clear, but you answered it, that the formula comes from the league, and they annually give us that.
They just
formula
estimate
updated.
for
Right,
us
the formula's by statute.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to do with the miles of street, something with the sales tax.
It's
or-
per capita and
21
miles
per
of
capita
street.
and 1640 per
The
street
league
mile.
just simply gives us estimates on what they feel the economy, the fuel tax
Fuel
and that
tax,
type of thing, what funds will be available to the state to distribute out.
Based on that, okay.
So like if, for example, if gas prices skyrocket and people stop driving,
It's gonna.
that can hurt, those kind
Right.
of things.
Yep.
If you'll look on page 6, down, other financial sources, financial sources, you'll see water fund administrative cost allocation. That's the figure that I was talking about, where the water fund reimburses the general fund. You also see a very conservative appropriation for the fund balance. So you do have wiggle room.
Oops, sorry.
Any questions from anyone on the general fund revenues? Okay. I have a question, but it's going to be globally about the tax increase that we're looking at and how that plays out for future years. So I don't know whether that's
shared revenue.
Whether you want that now or whether we want to go through expenses and then have that discussion.
Now,
Yeah.
where you explain how the increase. affects our shared revenues next
Well-
year. Right, no?
Well, kind of, but not exactly. So when we look at having a 3-cent tax increase for this year, and we look at mapping out, this is why we may want to go through this and revisit this, and that's fine. But when we look at, okay, implementing that tax now, and the list of items that basically we're able to accomplish in this upcoming fiscal year by implementing that tax. You know, we've put in quite a few capital improvements, vehicle replacement. What my question is how much of that we're going to do in this coming fiscal year is one-time cost, where then we see the benefit, the ongoing benefit of that tax increase, possibly then, is there anything left over that then we can start funding beach nourishment, some of our beach nourishment? Or are we looking at 3 cent now and then still having to implement the beach nourishment townwide tax?
This beach nourishment townwide tax is still gonna be necessary. What we can't tell you for a fact right now is that it is gonna be needing to be 3 cents. Pretty much the 3 cent increase that's in the recommended budget is getting us back on track with our vehicle replacement schedule. It's continuing the construction of the public services area, which includes sanitation, fleet maintenance, streets, animal control, all of that area there. It's getting that back on track from when that was discontinued. There's also a recommendation in the budget for a staffing study, and the monies are in the budget to implement what we're estimating would come from that staffing study in January. So none of those are one-time cost. You're going to have lease payments on the vehicle replacement, and you'll have debt service on the public service, and any increase in base salary continues.
The 3 cents, is that sort of being treated separately like with special tax districts? And
No, so it's a town, it's 3 cent on the tax rate.
Not this one, I mean, in the future.
In the future, what you will have is the municipal service
That's-
district,
yeah.
which will be, what we're projecting at this point will be a double tax rate. And that will be for the ocean front that is receiving the beach nourishment. And then town-wide, there would be a 3 cent tax that would be used for beach nourishment, but town-wide wouldn't be a municipal service district.
No, right, so, yeah, I have it in my head, I don't know if I can say it, yeah. So, the 3 cents for, in the municipal service district is if in the future, this is not.
Right, this 3 cents has nothing to do with beach nourishment.
Right, okay, great.
And my question was, which it's been answered, was can it, and I knew it wouldn't in this year because we see this year's numbers, but since this isn't a 2-year, we don't see next year's numbers, so it was a question, will that 3 cents have any impact on beach nourishment, or is it going to be then required from here forward? And the answer was yes, because of we're funding this through lease arrangements or ongoing capital investments.
With one caveat to that, there will be some increased revenues because of the 3 cents in our shared revenues. That will help with that.
Right.
Yeah, like
and depending on what some of the other towns do.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, you know, if hypothetically, if you were buying the vehicles now and paying for them, then that would be a one-time fee, and that money, you wouldn't necessarily need it again next year.
That's correct.
But it might be more than 3 cents.
Right, to do that.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Right.
But, and this is the case where this is calculated to be an ongoing lease payments and such, as you said.
Until such time as you
Right.
pay it off, absolutely. But by then, you've had to buy new, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, that was the question I had, so you answered the question.
I don't think there's any question of the need there, is there, for the
For the vehicles? No, we've really gotten behind on the replacement, and the departments make their request, and then Stuart, our head mechanic, he does a really thorough job going back through the paperwork on repairs And, you know, you reach that point where between safety and downtime, it's more efficient to purchase. And we're fortunate in that we can purchase from state contracts. So the town doesn't pay what, you know, you and I would pay if we went and purchased a vehicle off the lot. And these vehicles that we're recommending, we feel strongly that we're at that point.
So some of them were obviously being kept so long that it was counterproductive. to have.
It's definitely time to replace them.
I know we have one that's 14 years old at least, so that's pretty long for that kind of use that it gets.
Okay, let's move on to then, unless anyone has any questions, we'll start going through
Expenditures?
expenditures, yes.
Section 6, page 14. Starts the administration department. This is town-wide. The 2% matching 401k contribution is reflected. Town-wide, 1.6 COLA is recommended and reflected in each department. As I alluded to earlier, we are recommending a staffing study. Staffing study's cost is $20,000. That's all in administration. That will be one of those items that Beverly will do a cost allocation for the water fund to pick up their part of it. And we continue to not have merit and bonus pay in the budget.
Is there currently a matching for the 401? Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it
Yes.
stayed at 2%?
It brings it up to the 5% that the sworn officers receive for the non-law enforcement. And then on page 15 starts line by line, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Debbie, with the staffing study, you said you all have predicted, starting in January, what you think the results will be. Do you have a
We used
total
a
sum of what you think?
2.5% increase, and for the general fund, that's $162,396. The water fund's $19,400 for a total of $182,000, give or take. And it's simply, this is simply just estimates, guesstimates. The process, Mayor, if the board does approve this, the process would be after the new fiscal year, we would advertise for proposals and then come back to the board with a recommendation. In previous years, the study's been done by the League of Municipalities, but whoever would be recommended and that the board would choose would come and meet with the board before doing the study to sort of get some guidelines from the board on what you would like to see or what you would like for the study to accomplish. Then they would go do the study and then bring that back to you for your approval. And so that's why you need that window of time from when the budget's adopted. You need, for them to do it, for the board to approve it, them to do it and bring it back, and then it be implemented. So we would estimate a half a year implementation. That can move. I think it would be difficult to make it sooner, but it could certainly move if you didn't want to do a whole 6 months, or if you chose to implement it in the future budget. But that is the cost for that study.
That money's budgeted, right?
Yes, sir.
The 2.5%.
Yes, sir.
And if the salary study says we're okay, then there's the money's what happens to the money?
Well, the money
General fund.
the money would go back into the general fund
Right,
at the
okay.
end of the fiscal year, unless the board wanted to use it for something else.
So to simplify it, they'll either say we need to catch up, we're okay, or maybe we're paying too much, which I doubt. And in which case, the idea of lowering salaries would be ludicrous to me, but so we're really
Put a
gonna
cap
probably
on
have-
them, you don't lower them.
What?
You put a cap on them, you don't lower them.
Yeah, that's right. So, we'll either, they'll either recommend, for our purposes, either we're okay or we should have an increase. So, okay.
Yes, sir. Basically.
Basically. You helped me understand it earlier, thank you.
And is that's reflected, I'm guessing, in that professional services line item? That's what I have
The
circled.
20,000 is
Yeah.
there, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. The 3,000 is the general professional services, which would include any drug testing or new employee physicals and those kind of things.
Okay.
And then the implementation is reflected in each department.
Sure.
So you're not
Okay.
going to see one lump
Right.
number of 162,000.
What are we budgeting for the increase for advertising? It's not an increase over the budgeted figure for last year, but it is an increase over the estimated actuals.
And to some degree, advertising is an unknown, because depending on the number of meetings that you would have, various times that you may need to advertise for the board vacancies and so forth.
Public notices.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Question on the copier lease.
Mhm.
Does each department have a copier that's leased?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just trying to figure out if that was a shared expense across the departments for consolidated equipment, but.
There is some shared use with copiers. Some copiers are able to do more than others, and the departments do share those.
Okay.
But each department does have some form of copier.
And those copiers serve as our printers and everything, they're all networked. So
Scanners,
we don't have
faxes.
printers on our desk, we just send it to the copier.
Right.
Some of us don't have.
And the fleet maintenance line item that shows up, that's just for, at least on page 15, that's just for the administrative department.
Yes, in fact, that's just one vehicle. We have I think it's a surplus police car that they use for mail runs and certain deliveries and so forth.
Okay.
On page 16, under special events, the revised budget for this current year and the estimated actuals are at $30,500, and for next year it's back down to $3,000. Is that fireworks, and are we not budgeting on that again, or is that what's that special event?
I don't think so. That special event.
This is line item 557001.
I see that.
Let me see. That is just for the trash attack.
Wow.
What, the 3,000?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, that was the justification, was trash attack funding.
Right. The board had allocated before approved. This was back when Bill Pitt was here. But what I'm questioning is the 30,000 that we're looking at for this year. If that's fireworks, did we not include that for next year?
Mary.
I can't see it, I'm sorry.
It would be the.
And we can note
No,
that
well,
and
I can
find
tell
out.
you, there's
Yeah.
no fireworks requested or in this budget that's being presented. Unless we
Okay.
want to add
So
it
that's
in.
probably what that was then.
Okay.
What, the 30,000?
I'm
Or
guessing, 'cause
20,
that would make
23,
sense.
The 30,000 is the
27.
fireworks, definitely.
Okay.
Or the
20,
27.
that would be
Yeah.
20,000.
Yes, it was.
That would have gotten moved into that line this year.
Under revised.
Exactly.
Okay.
It is revised.
Which is where it
exactly.
is. Okay. So
Right,
that's
but-
something that we need to be,
Yeah, so if we were looking at doing fireworks again
In the
and
future.
this,
then we would need
this-
to add to that line item.
okay.
Because it's not there currently. We'd have to put it in again during this process.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to do.
Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's my thought.
we're hearing very positive. People are very
Absolutely.
excited about the fact that it's coming back. And, you know, the only issue would be at the time, if we couldn't get the commitment from the pier. But with that being said, it's sort of like
It's easier
the
to take it
salary study.
out.
We can, you know, the
Absolutely.
money will just stay in the general, you know, go back to the fund balance.
Yep.
We're gonna add 20,000?
Now,
Yeah,
and
and then if you get, you know, then if we're
The
able to get
tourism
tourism board
grants.
money, the same thing.
Right.
You know.
Reverse
Which
back
we
to
did,
general
yeah.
fund.
And all indication, as they were preparing their budget, I will tell you, at the last tourism board meeting, they kept their line item the same. And they did that anticipating they would have the same number of requests, including one from Kildeville Hills. So I think it's fair to believe that that same level of funding that we received this year is likely next year from the tourism board.
It certainly would be nice, given the popularity of the fireworks for the 4th of July, if they would consider increasing that amount to share with the towns. And I think they also do one on in Avon.
Right, there are 5 total, so I
Right.
think when they were looking at it, that's where they were coming up with their pot of money to share between the 4 or 5. There was a discussion, though, I'm not sure how far it will be carried forward, because I think it's been put out on the table before, about Manio and Nags Head looking at some type of combined event, and both of those towns were represented at this meeting, but we'll see if that goes anywhere or not. Okay, does anyone else have anything in this section? Questions or to bring up for discussion? Okay, are we ready to move to section 7? Okay.
Section 7, page 18, we'll just touch on the highlights and then get into them line by line. The debt service for the public works phase 1 is included. This was done a number of years ago. And as we spoke about earlier, the recommendation for phase 2 at an estimated cost of $1,549,713, but we would actually be looking at the debt service for that, not the entire amount. $35,000 to clean, caulk, and paint this town hall area. $30,000 for some capital maintenance to beach accesses. These are beach accesses that need a little more than just a little sprucing up to the point that the work would actually meet a capital expenditure. And if I'm not mistaken, that's over $5,000. This does have one of the vehicle replacements recommended, and it does not recommend funding the reserve accounts. That's shoreline access, recreation facilities, and beach nourishment. And then on page 19 starts your line items.
I honestly was trying to think when I was reviewing this section, trying to remember, and this is, I know staff can help me, what, to explain again what really is included in this phase 2 and why it's necessary and so important that we do it.
Sean?
I'd love to hear from staff.
Okay, it is development of a new fleet maintenance building, the police storage building. It's doubling the size of the existing police storage building, and doing site and parking improvements and a fuel island, and it's improving the exterior renovations of the administration building on the public works site.
and that's jogging my memory a little bit from our capital improvement workshop. I remember specifically some comments about the police storage building, that we are already at capacity there. We're having difficulties with the storage.
Way over capacity there.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest thing we will be accomplishing, and what has changed a little bit from the initial discussions we had during the capital improvement workshop, is we were going to be doing in this phase, adding a bay and remodeling the existing fleet maintenance building, and trying to do all that while working out of the fleet maintenance building, which we always knew was going to be a difficult task and probably expensive, and probably have things happen we can't anticipate. We did identify a better solution, which will actually put in the footprint of what would be the final or next to the final phase, or final phase according to how you look at it, of the development. There will be, to the east of the existing fleet maintenance building, there is a planned development for sanitation equipment storage. We realized, looking and preparing this budget, that we could build a new fleet maintenance garage on that footprint more efficiently and have a more efficient building when it's done than trying to remodel the existing fleet maintenance building. Doing that does require a little bit more expense in this phase, but it will reduce the expenses in the final phase, because we'll also get the advantage of moving equipment into the existing fleet maintenance building right away as soon as we move out of there, instead of waiting until something is built. So we have quite a few advantages in doing that, and plus it'll be much easier to actually operate and work while that's going on, because we'll just be continuing our existing work, and then when the new building is built, they'll be able to transfer all the operations right into the new building and start using the old building for storage. And to develop that building out further will not take nearly the expense of building a whole new storage building.
And Beverly, I know the debt service on this is projected at $129,530. What's the term of that?
15 years.
15 years.
And let's see, there's a schedule in the back.
3.5%.
Yeah, 3.5% for 15 years.
Okay.
And
On page 19, on fleet maintenance, that was higher than expected. Is there any? But it goes back down for this year?
That's because of the new vehicle,
Okay.
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the additional repairs were more than really the lease payment.
well, exactly, and that's why we look at those and try to decide.
What year is that vehicle, do you know?
You know, I don't know. Sometimes we put in here what is anybody from Buildings and Grounds?
Just Sean.
Sean, do you know what?
Yeah, I don't recall. I'm thinking it's a fairly old. I think this is the truck that needs to be the four-door.
It is the four-door.
Yeah,
It's an F-250.
it's I'm thinking it's 10 years old.
Let me see if it's in the schedule.
I think it is. I think that was a surplus vehicle from the fire department that we took 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, or maybe longer. Yeah.
I can check on that just to be sure.
That's okay.
Mm.
That old. Just a general question, not necessarily specifically on this one, but you mentioned one of the cars in administration was a repurposed police vehicle. Do vehicles like this get repurposed, or do they get sold at auction, or that type of
This
thing?
one would probably go on Gov Deals.
Okay.
There's really nowhere else in town that it would be used.
Okay.
And like the one, for example, that I was talking about from the police department, you know, it's pretty much just used around town. It may go somewhere else in Dare County, but it doesn't.
Doesn't have to go far.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we keep them, we have to maintain them.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
if we don't need them, they go back.
And the Gov Deals is something that's relatively new. We've been doing it for a number of years now, but Used to, when we just surplused them and just sold them at local auction, we really didn't get very good return. But the Gov deals has kind of changed that, and people are very interested in
A
them.
little broader audience.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
Line item 515003 is the HVAC, I'm guessing, maintenance and repair. Looks like M&R. It looks like we've historically, last year, and again, we're looking at this year budgeting $30,000. Our estimated actual expenditures for 13-14 is 15, and the year before was only 8,600. Are we thinking that, is there, again, other than just being conservative, Sean, do we have some that we think are going to have to be replaced?
Well, we don't know. With the heating and air systems, you generally have to replace, if you have a major failure, you have to replace the outdoor unit along with the air handling equipment based on what you have, because they're usually not compatible to do one at a time. So you could be looking at somewhere to around $8,000 per unit if you have a problem. So it doesn't take a whole lot of failures to go through the money. So we try to budget for what we expect, and generally we do have over time. We usually have 2 failures a year. So that is at least $16,000, if not more, along with some other equipment. And if you have 3 or maybe 4, then that's kind of what we plan for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't looking at, I was just thinking, even reducing it to 20, which is a little more than 2 failures, then you would have 10,000 to put towards fireworks.
Well, that's something that can be done. We could always do
But
that
still,
if we had failures.
Almost double, well, I was thinking 15.
There's also additional regulations that are going into effect with a more efficient units being required based on the allowed Freon now.
I was going to say, I'm guessing most of the units we have are still the old Freon versus the new Freon.
Right. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have increased expenses in this line item. But if the actual is...
The estimated actual is 15,000 for this current year. The year before, the actual was 8,600.
Yeah.
So we also budgeted 30,000 then too. It seems like 30,000 is probably historically what we've been used to budgeting, and I know it's an unknown. You can't predict the future.
It's an unknown, and it's one that we've expected it's only going to be increasing. We do have some old equipment out there, and it doesn't take a whole lot to cause to be over. That's an item that once we get over, it really isn't something we can absorb in other lines. So we'd have to.
It's better to have it there and not need it than to need it and not have it.
True.
Sorry, the accountant in me is coming out there. We've replaced several units at the bomb center recently, and that's just a bad thing.
We do have a very good maintenance arrangement, and a lot of maintenance done on our equipment, so we have been getting good life out of them. And actually, I've been surprised this year. I thought we would have spent more than that. I guess everything's showing up that we've spent. It seems like we've spent more than that.
Sometimes with this, you're just prolonging that, though, is especially with the old units being there and not having the new stuff.
It simply would be something that if that's the desire of the board and we run into an issue, we would simply, make you aware. We wouldn't wait till the line got depleted and, people are roasting.
Right. It's one of those things. If we have, this could happen at any point. If we have a line item that exceeds what we budgeted and there's a critical need for something, we're going to come back, look at it. If it makes sense, we're going to do a budget amendment and certainly fund HVAC repair units. The one thing that I want to be, so some of these that I'm not trying to in any way nickel and dime, but I also want to be cautious. You come to a point, if you're being too overly conservative, then you're also trying to make sure your revenue's that high if it doesn't necessarily need to be. And so that's what some of these I'm looking at. But a lot of it's also just to ask questions so I know historically where it's coming from.
But I just want to assure the board that if that is the desire, then we'll simply monitor it and come back if there's a problem. No?
I don't know that there's consensus to change anything at this
Did
point.
you want to change it?
Good, thank you. Well, let's keep moving through, and then we want to revisit it. The increase in, now I'm looking at page 20, line item 570000, lease payments. The increase from the 39 to the 75, I would think the truck's in there somewhere. Is that what that lease is for, or what other items would be in that lease? Because that's not the public works. You know, that's down below.
Right, let me look at that.
That's a, significant jump. So I wouldn't think one pickup truck
Well,
is not that.
What we did in this fiscal year, the lights at the Meekins Field, we added that in this year, so.
So that's in this same line
so-
item. Okay.
Yeah, so, that whole year's payment was $64,000. The lease payment on that truck is gonna be about $6,500 annually. We budget one half of a payment in this upcoming budget.
year, right? Okay. So the majority of that increase then is related to Meekins Field.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. All right.
I see, there's no money budgeted for Christmas displays, obviously, is that correct? Am I reading that right?
That's correct.
Is there any consensus on the board for doing anything about that?
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry, 19 again, still on 19.
The holiday nights?
No, the one above that says Christmas displays. 515006.
Okay.
Am I wrong second?
Yeah. Are you talking about M&R Christmas displays?
Yeah, that was M&R.
No, yeah.
Oh.
Is that not what the same thing I'm talking about? Or?
Well, that would be
I think
maintenance
we
and
just-
repair.
That's maintenance and repair.
If you go down below to the supplies and materials, there's still nothing in there, but just to look at where it would probably go if it was budgeted would be line item 533020. Possibly if we were buying stuff for
Well,
that.
it would depend, on the items. If it's over 5,000, it would be capital. It'd be a capital outlay.
I guess what I'm asking is that we've had a plan that we've been working on for Christmas lights. For there's several phases that we've mapped out for around the frog pond and several around the town hall. There's no money budgeted for any of that? Is that correct?
That's correct.
I guess then my question would be: is there any consensus for budgeting any money for that? We had a plan in place this past year, and we got turned down for a grant, so we just put it aside at that point. And is there any consensus to resurrecting that at this point?
How much was that? Do you know?
We requested a grant for 17,000 or something.
It was 17 or 19, I can't remember exactly correction. And it did get turned down, and we've got, we'll continue putting up everything that we've got.
Sure.
You know, unless the board wants to do something different, but we didn't really have much of a hope, I guess, that we could resurrect the grant program, or the grant request, I guess.
Okay. Let's see. All right, questions? Comments?
Not for this section.
I'm guessing with the holiday, it's just an expensive expenditure.
It's what?
An expensive not that you have to spend 17,000, but that's a lot to try to come up with for a.
All right, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's expensive relative, relative to whatever, it's expensive, but we're talking about some of the things that we're budgeting for, and if we don't need it, it goes back into the general fund. This possibility, we don't have to wait till next budget to do it. We can use some of that money that got kicked back in if we decide we want to do something with the Christmas program. Okay. Is that all right? That's fine.
With help from Visitors Bureau, we were able to install electrical service around Frog Pond. And we're going to be doing a Destination Dare program over the next several months. I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but we're going to try to work with the Dare County Arts Council and also Commissioner Rubin's folks to do a tour basically of that area, showing how it could be used for charitable special events, and being able to market the service that we've got in there now. I think being able to show that we've used it, that it can be a valuable asset for the Christmas program and a lot of other different types of activities. I think as we're able to do that, we ought to be able to successfully reactivate a grant request once we're able to show that we're doing something really cool with what they've given us.
Right, we installed electric every 70 feet around that pond. There's electric service every 70 feet around there, so we'll be able to accommodate, with the new LED lights, we can accommodate a tremendous amount of displays and the strings of lights. So. Yes, but that part is done and paid for. So.
Yeah, it's a great idea as far as to put that awareness out there, because there may be an entity that wants to then partner with the town to host some type of display where possibly they can share in the expenses related to
Absolutely.
that. Just kind of thinking ahead, that's something that if that continues to be a charitable event, they're already there at the roller hockey rink, just expanding around the frog pond would be a fairly simple thing. I think it's got a lot of possibility. We just gotta kind of figure it out.
And it might even be something that we could talk to the master gardeners about, and get them involved in, and that opens it up maybe even for the possibility of the community transformation grant process.
Just, like I said, kind of thinking out loud, as the folks at the Bomb Center do their craft show, being able to set up tables and display areas around the frog pond and invite people to walk around and maybe have refreshments there at the building, picnic tables, that kind of thing. It gives it a whole different feel. And I think it's got real possibilities.
Great.
I agree.
Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
Any other questions in this section, section 7? Are you comfortable to move on to section 8? Okay. Section 8, Finance and Tax Department.
Page 24. Now, the health care for the employees is in the finance department budget. And the renewal increase for the current plan for the active employees is 10.5%, for the retirees is 10.7%. Expecting the general insurance to increase by 10%, and we do recommend to continue with Dare County contract to do our tax collection. The line items begin on page 25.
Debbie, I have a question, and this is a small amount, so it's not going to make a big difference at all. I was just thinking back to one of our meetings. Line item 509000, the audit.
Yes.
I recall we, board action this past year where we approved funding the same firm for multi-years
Yes, ma'am.
for the audit and a way to save on that audit expense. So I didn't know if, again, if that's just budgeting conservatively, or we could expect to see what we truly spent this year being the 15.6 instead of the 17.6.
If there's a single audit that's required, then it is more. It's 2,500, I think it's 2,500 more.
And we don't know if that's gonna be necessary. It depends on certain grants that we might receive, where they have to do an additional work. And that's what this number would cover if there is.
Got it, okay.
So,
So it's likely it could be, but we
That's
don't
the
know, so we're
most it
putting
would
the
be, but
17.6.
more than likely it's, yeah. And the other side of that is in the water fund, so.
Okay.
But we did budget the entire 2,500, wasn't it, Amy, for a single audit in the general fund, if
Okay.
it's necessary.
Okay, okay. Anyone have any questions, comments?
Not in this section.
Okay. We'll move to section 9. Information systems.
It's page 27, some of the highlights, all of the current maintenance contracts for the townwide systems and software recommended. There was an interbase phone system and system maintenance requested, but we're not recommending it at this time. We'd sort of like to get a little more information about it and have a little bit more comfort level before bringing that and recommending it to the board. We are recommending an update to the CAD software for the public services application and recommending Exigrid, external backup to the hard disk, which replaces our antiquated tape backups.
Please.
Page 29 gives you the line items. Excuse me, page 28 gives you the line items. 29 shows the capital.
On page 28, under line item 533000, supplies and materials, there's a big drop, actually, I mean, which is nice, a nice reduction, but I just want to make sure that that's not any.
It's just the like I said, our capital is 5,000, so some of the laptops and smaller computers all fall into this, and we've really kept to our schedule, so we've done well with that. So that's simply.
I guess I was just thinking, it looks like we're going to spend 58,000 this year, but only budget on 32,000 for next year. So, was it in this year that we purchased more of those type items, and then so we don't need to next year?
We're purchasing what we feel like we need.
Okay.
When you guys upgrade these computers, what do you do? Do you replace the hard drives?
No, the whole thing.
We replaced the whole thing.
Okay, because I don't know if you're aware, but the solid state hard drives, they can significantly make a computer last a lot longer. Like, you'd be amazed at how much faster it operates just by changing out that one component.
We will make a note of that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's considerable savings in this department overall between the actual, like, for example, the contract services of 41.9, that's going down to 13.9. I know we also last year did a considerable investment.
That's right, and that's why.
So,
and it may be that I'm hoping that they will get those lines dug so that we can start July and we'll start seeing those savings immediately. We may not, but it depends on how quickly NC is who we're contracted with can move. But that's our internet access.
Brian Lay and talk to him. Let me know. At MCNC, some of our hospitals that we work with require the same upgrades. So
nice to know.
It will make a huge cost savings to some of these rural hospitals as well.
Great.
Okay. Anyone have any questions, comments on this section?
Just a general question, maybe more of a comment than a question, but the internet-based phone system for a site like this, is that tend to be a little bit more reliable than what you'd have at the house?
That's one of the unknowns.
Is that the concern?
That's what we don't
and why it's
know
on
enough
the-
to tell you about.
Exactly. And
I can tell you it's gonna cost $120,000, roughly $120,000 for the townwide system, but I don't know enough to tell you how much it would save, and long-distance calls, how reliable. I just wasn't comfortable moving forward with it yet.
Is it similar to what the county has?
Mhm.
What's your experience been?
Be very careful.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
and our
yeah.
current.
So similar to residential service.
Yeah,
And sorry that
It
this
worked
is
really
broad
well in
brush,
some
but-
areas, but I'm gonna tell you, like EMS had a really, I mean, there were the necessary areas, and the bomb center, it didn't work at all for us. So I don't know if it's this area, but they had to lay Ethernet lines for us to, we were without phone for 2 years. I mean, I truly talked on a cell phone. I hate this being taped, but it was truly bad. They
This
laid
is-
out an additional 10 grand for us.
This is voice over IP? Is that-
Yes.
Yeah, it's not
It was
really
not,
impressive.
I would, if it ain't broke,
Yeah, see, our current phones they're not.
They don't service them.
They don't service them. If one of them breaks, I guess we gotta go on DealDeals or eBay or wherever and find one.
we truly, I went to Walmart and bought a plug-in phone, and we plugged into our fax line. That's for 2 years.
So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we can make it until we can figure out what kind of system.
Yeah,
we
if it works,
actually
it
wanna
works
use.
great. And once they laid those extra lines, it worked great, but it took a lot of convincing to get those commissioners to do that, so.
We just didn't feel that the expenditure was necessary at this point, and certainly didn't feel that we could justify that to you.
Hold out as long as you can.
Can you upgrade existing handsets and use the existing infrastructure?
Mm.
No, see, it would be a full replacement on that. Is there a cost comparison on those two?
Well, kind of what we talked about was, you know, if somebody's phone, you know, let's say, for example, my phone in my office died, then, you know, there's a conference room beside my office that has a phone that we could use that one. You know, I mean, and then as Beverly alluded to, DealDeals, you know, we'd go
Yeah.
there.
Right.
But generally, unless you throw the phone through the wall, unfortunately, we haven't had that issue.
So tomorrow, after the
Legit.
budget
So far.
conversations, there might be a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you guys happy with the phone system as it is now? And it's working okay?
Sorry, guys, I know y'all are out there going, please, we want a new phone system. But believe me, without a new phone system, when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work.
I don't think anybody has any major complaints with it. I mean, you know, sometimes.
Well, and
Right.
the problem is your computer's hooked to your phone too. So when your phone doesn't work, your computer doesn't work either. So none of it works.
Right.
Right.
That's the problem.
You know, it certainly, our current system is old, and it, you know, probably doesn't have some of the bells and whistles that some new systems do, but we do okay. But today it works.
The biggest problem is maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
But we haven't really had any issues with the phones themselves, so.
So if anybody has a
That
problem with their
holds.
phone, call us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other questions in that section? Okay, move on then to section 10.
Section 10, yes ma'am, page 31
Bless you.
for the highlights and 32 for the line items. Obviously, the main issue here is trying to guesstimate what the gas prices are gonna be.
Those are shown departmentally. Vehicle fuel is shown in the department that buys the fuel. It's just estimating the fuel, but, and we show you that in the highlights of the fleet maintenance department.
And that's a discounted rate for us, right? Okay.
We don't pay
It's
the tax.
Okay.
If it's all right, can we back up a page before we move on?
What,
Page
to
30.
Page
Goals-
30?
Goals and objectives.
Okay,
That one bullet point says to return the vehicles and equipment back to departments in a timely manner. What we're gonna be doing with the vehicles is gonna help that, right?
well,
Updating.
You still have
But should help
maintenance.
But you're
fewer
gonna still
get to
have-
the garage.
Yes,
You'll
I
still
do,
have
yeah.
some, but you should
Right.
have fewer going into
So
the garage,
are-
hopefully.
Are we having a problem now with them sitting a long time, or?
I think there probably may be some backup. If you've got, if you've got a number that are down, and obviously,
Summertime's a little more hectic than
Absolutely.
off-season. And again, they do work on some of those, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but they do have, because of the limited number of days, they have to work on some of it outside.
Yeah, I've been over there a couple times and I've
Yeah.
seen them out there messing with them, so, yeah. I was just curious because I know that's has come up a couple times over the years about, well, it relates to the whole thing with not having the vehicles, the newer vehicles.
Right.
There's more over there, they have more to work on, and they can't maybe get them back so quick.
Right, but even your new vehicles have to go in for
Right. Oil changes and stuff.
oil changes and stuff, and they just strive to get them out in a timely.
Maybe you could take it to the local place and get an oil change.
And
That's the last bullet item.
and obviously, a police vehicle, they're going to try to get that out
Yeah.
as soon as possible, and the solid waste vehicles that pick up garbage, those kind of things. I think
There's
we
a
have
priority
an
system in
outstanding,
place.
3 outstanding mechanics, absolutely. And then page 32 has your line items.
And that's the full cost for the shop, the personnel, everything with fleet maintenance.
The fuels, though.
The
every-
fuel
fuel's
is shown
by
departmentally.
department.
That
Right.
fuel is only for the
For
fleet
the
maintenance
fleet.
vehicles.
Right.
No, I'm just.
Correct.
But other than that, everything
That-
for,
that is
for
the-
their expenditures and it's in there.
Right.
We
I-
purchase the parts and then we charge them back out to the departments.
For maintenance.
So the parts are charged back to the departments, or they are carried in inventory.
Right. So if we're looking at additional vehicles, why would the requested amount go up?
Well, there is
For supplies, you mean?
Because we have $11,300
For supplies and materials.
Well, the requested, you mean the total?
Total.
Well, first you have the COLA that's recommended,
Right.
and then you have the 2.5% if the pay study in the salaries.
Debbie, I'm sorry, I think he's looking, Travis, please correct me if I'm wrong. Are you specifically looking at why the supply and material
No, I'm
line
looking
item?
at.
You are looking at,
I'm looking at the subtotal for personnel services and then the total at the bottom.
The bottom
But-
line.
Okay.
But
Right.
Yeah,
the
that's what
the
she's
personnel
saying is accurate.
services would be the COLA, the potential implementation of any salary study, the increase in health care, and then how that affects FICA and retirement. So that's your increase in personnel.
Okay.
And
All right, so that's the bulk of it. So that,
yes, sir.
all right.
How many,
There's no,
there's no number of employees
Yeah.
page? in
Yes,
mine.
mhm.
It says. I think it's back in front of finance.
Oh, okay, all right, never mind. I'll find it.
There are.
It's on page 22.
Yes, it's
There's one supervisor, there's 3 mechanics, and then there's a half of an accountant.
the right half.
Okay, I see.
We try very hard to allocate the positions
Here they
each
are.
time you're spending.
in the department that
Right.
they're in. And having this half of accountant and fleet maintenance over the years has really been very beneficial in helping internal controls with inventory.
That goes back a long way.
And then you see the other half of the accountant up under finance.
Right.
So we didn't chop her in half, literally.
Thank you for that.
Any
Back on
questions?
32?
Okay, we ready to move to the next section?
Okay.
Section 11?
Section 11, page 35, has a few highlights I'll touch on. 2 vehicles to be replaced. Here we do have the dates, 2001 Dodge and a 2000 Ford. A little bit of an increase in travel and training for the building inspectors to complete some required classes, and then an increase in the supplies and materials to purchase the 2015 North Carolina Building Code and Electrical Code updates. Page 36 has your expenditures, and then 37 is your capital, which would be a lease purchase for those two vehicles.
Back under goals and objectives, I just think it's interesting, based on what we've been talking about lately, that one of the bullet points says to improve community appearance. Kind of something we've been dealing with.
Any questions or comments on this section?
Do both vehicles need to be replaced in the same year?
Yes.
That was quick.
Yes.
Why?
These two vehicles in particular are definitely becoming issues of downtime. There's some issues of safety.
Breaks, leaving employees on the side of the road.
We make sure they're safe, but we're spending money to make them safe.
And it's requiring a lot of downtime.
Yeah, Greg and I are going to that land use plan thing in Plymouth tomorrow, and he said the one vehicle's down. You can't use it right now. And he said, we can use the other one and go to Plymouth. Well, I'm not sure we'll get back. He was kidding, obviously. Well, hopefully.
We'll see. Greg's not here.
You should drive.
We're ready, maybe can't get back.
We originally had planned to just replace one, but it has turned out since we started this process that both of those vehicles need to be replaced.
Okay. I just don't see an increase in fleet maintenance to reflect that. Or outside maintenance.
An increase, there really shouldn't be an increase in the fleet maintenance, because we're going to surplus the other two.
In the current year, let me
Right,
see.
from the previous years.
Yeah, let me see. Again, sometimes when I'm working on this budget, I'll stop around March estimating, but fleet maintenance, 1,400. See what we're.
There
up
was
to.
a pretty hefty outside maintenance and repair in 51600. 1940 is double what the budget was.
This might not be quite as up to date as the information we just got from Sharon, but for the month of April, we are already over
You're
our
already
fleet
over
maintenance budget for the month of April, and we haven't even got through May or June yet.
Yeah, you're over our budget right now.
We're over budget right now. We're getting ready to have to try to find budget transfers to meet our fleet maintenance cost, and we still have a vehicle that's in there at downtime that we haven't gotten the bill for.
Okay.
So this might not be,
Yeah,
totally
our
up.
able actual is not real time on this budget. It is-
Okay.
We stop at a certain point and really we make a guesstimate as to it, but it is already over budget.
Okay. Thanks, Mary.
Any other questions?
Section
I think we're ready.
12. Police Department. Page 40, some highlights, as we talked about. We are fully funding the previous grants that we had. We do have the funding for the mandatory law enforcement separation allowance for 5 retired officers, continuing with our training, and we are recommending purchasing 5 police vehicles and a utility vehicle for beach patrol. Line items on page 41 and 42, and then your capital showing your utility vehicle and in-car video system update, which we're doing a schedule of 2 per year with that, is on page 43.
with the 5 vehicles at one time, were some of these, because we have not replaced vehicles over the past couple of years, and so
We've gotten
we're
a
doing
bit
those as well as
behind.
what should be done this year as well?
Putting us back on our schedule.
But 5 is the recommended rotation.
Right.
Because
But
we-
5 a year is the recommended rotation. So we did some this this past year, and we're going to try to get back on our regular rotation.
Okay, because we have not been doing 5 for
Right.
the past number of years.
Yeah, because we have how many police cars? There's several. I remember when we were putting AEDs in them, there's
Is Dana in the corner?
25.
He was in the corner.
He's laying low.
Napping.
Is there 20 or 25? That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. So if it's 5 a year, that's.
And they have 5. They have one for every officer, and they have spares.
Yeah.
So I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many, but they have quite a few.
I was thinking there was close to that because when I was thinking AEDs, there was it might have been more than that.
About 31 AEDs we were trying to get.
Yeah. Okay. That tells me what I need to know. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so I keep coming back because this is a lot of vehicles to purchase in 1 year. I mean, if you look at it across the town, if we're at a 5 per year rotation, and we've got 20 to 25, that means cars getting replaced every 4 or 5 years.
But some of these haven't been replaced in.
Well, we haven't had a new car since 2010. That figures 5 a year. And I've got detectives driving 14-year-old patrol cars.
Okay.
So, and these Dodges, and I talk about Dodges, they're getting expensive. When they break down, they got 8 modules in there, and and those modules can be very expensive. You know, $800 and.
Yeah, and they're not getting any more reliable. Are we looking at anything else?
Yeah, they're getting,
yeah.
the ones they're getting
Good.
are Ford Explorer hybrids.
Oh.
Nice.
4 of them.
Okay.
And then one for a different one for the beach.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that because, I mean, I tell you, the ones that I see coming through don't hold up at all.
Fords this year, or that's what we've already ordered.
They're hybrids?
Well, it's the SUV type hybrid, the Explorer, just like it says. We needed something that's a little bit more up with all the water we have around here. We need a little bit higher vehicle to get around to our people when they get stranded and stuff. And those cars are low down to the ground, you just can't get in the water and get to them.
Right, hybrid as being an SUV versus a car, not hybrid as having the battery.
No, it doesn't have a battery.
Because
Right.
the Explorer doesn't come in that. So,
Right.
okay.
Oh, wow.
SUV.
No.
And just let you know, they get back the same gas mileage.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Any other questions?
These guys also have a leaky roof. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it leaks in some of your rooms, doesn't it?
That's in the patrol bay. That's the problem. It's been there a long time. They keep trying to fix it, but it's over there where the sergeant's office is at.
Yeah. It's still, we don't want you guys having water dripping on you while you're working.
We got a trash can sitting there to catch it.
Are we talking here?
Yeah, just over here.
Is part of the clean paint and caulk
It's,
part of that, or?
Sean, you want to address our ongoing leak issue?
Well, I know we've had a history with it. I wasn't aware that it's still going on a whole lot. Maybe this was a wind driven, but we've had,
That's during storms now.
storms, yeah. Well, hopefully during the caulking, we can have that analyzed. Maybe we can get it out for once and all, figure out
It's
what.
like my office.
Could be related somehow.
Just get some potted plants.
We have had a problem, and apparently still having some of the wind-driven problems. But no, we haven't anything specifically to address that, other than we'll have somebody look at it more.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on.
Animal control is section 13. Your line items are on page 46. This This is a very, very basic budget.
So this was actually one of the ones that I was surprised that they hadn't requested a new vehicle, to be quite honest with you.
I think they're, they probably have, I think they have recently replaced I a think couple so. of their I think vehicles. we're in kind of a dire strait.
Yeah, because I know over the last couple of years, they've
Mhm.
had some pretty significant issues with those, so, okay.
And pretty much this is your salary, your personnel service is the gist of this budget.
How is that health insurance in this one going down?
Well, we budget on what we know, so if an employee has a family, we budget for a family. If it's a single, we budget for a single, so
Yeah, got the
it
changes
depends on
there.
the dependent level.
Okay, that makes
So,
sense.
I mean, they may have changed.
Right, yep.
Status has changed.
That makes sense. Yep, okay. Any questions on that one? Okay. Next section?
14. And just to show you, if you would, on page 48, as John Gates alluded to earlier, the fire/ocean rescue sergeant, you see half of that position there, and the other half back on page 47. So there is no longer 2 year-round ocean rescue employees.
So I had a question actually on page 48, under just the lifeguards. We obviously had more than 19 in the room
Right.
tonight. That's full year positions, so that's
Well,
okay.
we have 19 stands.
Okay.
So in order to man 19 stands, the 7 days and the hours per day, you pretty much need what you saw here this evening.
Yeah. I just didn't know if this was taking into account that they were only working from May to August for the most part or something like
No,
that.
sir.
Okay.
So we budget by stand.
So the group
Or
leaders
stand.
and the lifeguards, as you see in parentheses, are seasonal, and then the supervisor, which is the one full-time year-round, and then the fire/ocean rescue sergeant is half in this this division, and the other half in the fire division.
Okay.
There is a replacement vehicle, 2001 Dodge Durango recommended. And then your line items begin on page 51. And you have the one capital, which is the lease on the vehicle.
Yeah, other than that, we spent enough money on the fire department, huh? When's that truck come in, by the way?
Middle of June.
Middle of June. Nice.
What is the event what is it called, the fire washing, when you dedicate it? Wash down.
There's a couple different things you can do.
Okay.
Plan conference.
Okay.
Nice.
Any questions?
No.
Next tab would be 15. And again, this is the actual expenditures on page 55 of your, for your ocean rescue. I think it's amazing some of the return, the number of years.
It's great, especially the
Awesome.
supervisors. Yeah. And the bright group of folks that
Absolutely,
we have.
absolutely.
They're introducing their majors and degrees.
Mhm.
Great group. I think overall with the change that we've made, and I guess with looking at your staffing patterns, I think there's reflects in here a little bit of the savings by doing that, and that's great. I think that was one of the goals, to improve efficiency, try to reduce costs where appropriate without compromising service. So I think that reflects that in this budget. I
Absolutely.
think that's good. Any questions for that section? Okay, move on to 16.
Your next
Or-
tab is actually 17. Page 58 begins with the street division. Did I miss something? No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
no,
No,
you're
I'm
right.
okay. No, I was thinking water and I'm fine. Page 58, excuse me, there's 400,000 in the street capital reserve fund, the 209,222 in the POW bill fund, which will accomplish $609,222 in street and drainage projects. We're recommending replacing 2000 model backhoe. Contracted services does include the supplement DOT mowing on US 158. And there is a recommended increase to supplies and materials for a new pole saw and an increase due to new signage standards. Your line items begin on 59. And 60. With the capital for the backhoe on page 61.
Do you have questions, comments on this?
Question, what is the new signage standards?
Retro reflectivity,
Okay.
it's the kind of prismatic tape that's more visible at nighttime.
Okay. Are we having to replace all the signs, or if any new signs go up there?
No, we're replacing everything. We're on the third year of that process.
Okay.
And we're doing that as an independent project, but the ongoing maintenance, when signs get damaged, stolen, and we have to replace them, those costs.
Okay.
Any other questions in this section? Okay.
Section 18, page 62 does show your POW bill expenditure. The gist of that is the capital outlay for street construction. And as Beverly stated, with the revenue, this goes back to showing the wash. That's the full revenue that's budgeted, the 231, 220.
Okay, any questions?
Solid waste, which would be your next tab, 19. On page 64, just some highlights. The tipping fees are included for an estimated 9,000 tons of garbage at $72.34 per ton, and an estimated 825 tons of construction and demolition, or C&D, at $65 per ton. Replacement of 3 new roll-off containers, and replacement of 2 2004 Volvo commercial trucks. Expenditures begin on 65. With your capital for the containers and the 2 trucks on 66.
How do the projections and tipping fees relate for this coming year to this year? Are we projecting more tonnage, or are we projecting increase in fees, or a combination of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, you can never be 100% precise, but Billy uses historical data to come up with reasonable numbers.
Mhm.
And this was, in our mind, a reasonable increase.
And we get the actual amount from the, what's that group called?
Albemarle Waste.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's another one of those where I understand trying to budget conservatively, but if I look at the historical figures and where we are, we're estimating 650,000. The budget's 710, so that's a $60,000 annual increase. Last year we spent 635, so that's
The thing you may recall, last year's did not include the C&D tipping fees
by the county.
by the county, so
Right.
that,
Okay. Yeah,
we have
all
to
that
account
needs to be added on to give a historic.
And so did we not have a full Did we have a full fiscal year of that? When did that go in?
One January.
I mean, this fiscal year, was that a full year or did it not start till January? So, what? I'm sorry. So we had a full fiscal,
This is the first full fiscal year.
this will be the first. Oh, so it hasn't gone into effect at all?
Well, we've been paying
It
this
has,
year,
yeah.
but in last year's, you won't, there weren't any charges.
In last year,
In 13, 14.
right, wait a minute, in the current year, we are paying or we're not, that's what I'm confused. We are paying in the
2014.
current year.
Correct.
So the estimated actual should include that, correct? But does it include a
Only
full
start in
year is where I'm
January.
confused?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
include
it
full
includes
year.
a half, maybe a half year
I'm gonna see
to
where
a
we are.
projection.
I'm gonna see where, from my estimate, I'm gonna see where we are. Yeah, I think my estimate's still
Yeah,
good.
I was using the 635 from.
Right,
12/13.
that year, it wasn't
Then-
included at all.
That's correct.
Right, okay. But then in this year, I guess the question is, yeah, was it a half year or a full year?
It just started since January 1.
So it was
we have
January.
the entire fiscal year numbers to go off of.
Right.
Right, okay.
Yeah, January 1st, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they were gonna implement it effective immediately, and
Yeah, that's right. I
We
just
said
couldn't-
no way.
And that was with last year's budget and then, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got him to wait until January, so a half year. Okay.
Yeah, and I was thinking the 635 plus we're thinking about 65,000. I mean. if-
We're thinking that's what the annual amount to
Yeah,
the
that
county's
gets you-
gonna be.
That gets you to that 700 range.
Right, yeah,
right there.
for a full year of that. Okay. Good.
And we continue to add containers, homes continue to come online.
We want them disposing of their trash in receptacles, so we do want that. Appropriate receptacles, so. Yeah, I'm not trying to
Just ask
discourage
Wyatt.
that. I just-
He'll tell them.
That's right, well, that's right. Okay, no, that all makes perfect sense. So, okay. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, I think we can go on to 20,
well,
or,
20 will begin your water fund.
mhm.
Is there any other discussion that we need to have with the general fund before moving into that one, or do you want us to just go through that and then come back and do any overall discussions?
So do we want to talk about, because all these, everything we just went through rolls up into the general fund budget versus now we get into some of our enterprise accounts and.
Right.
The only thing that I forgot to ask earlier was we'd mentioned during the capital improvement plan of potentially working with Nags Head to split the cost of paving 8th Street. But I don't know if that's, I mean, there's money in the budget currently for streets, but I don't know if that's just coming at a later date with additional detail, but.
That item, the board asked the Street Improvements and Special Projects Committee to review that item and then make a recommendation, so that would be coming from them, but that is not specifically in here, no.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
The project for next year's streets is, there's actually 3 locations. One is generally around North Memorial from Conklin Road to Woodmere, and it also involves water main replacements in those streets between Memorial and the highway. And then there's a section of South Memorial, this old concrete street, and then the very southern end of Wrightsville is included. And that was approved, I think, last October. Engineers currently designing it, and it'll go out to bid this summer.
Okay.
So next year's money's, was identified in the previous years. It takes that long to get all the surveying and design and permits.
Okay. Thank you.
Michael,
So, all these vehicles that we're getting, is there any way to get like a bulk discount, maybe with one of the other towns? Because there seems to be like a lot of vehicles.
We purchased them through state contract, which is a substantial discount. I don't really think, I don't think
That's
there's.
buying in bulk in
It's
essence.
That
right,
is.
right, the
Yeah.
state's.
It's already been
purchased
bid
them.
out.
The
Yeah.
state's purchased them in bulk,
Yeah,
yes.
it's already the lowest bidded prices.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess we can go into the
Okay, all right, then, tab 21, some of the highlights on page 68 for the revenues. We are continuing to follow the water system master plan, which does have the 4% increase to cover the cost for water line and systems improvements. The tap is all, like I said, we're following the plan, so it's a recommended water tap fee also. And then it does include the $18,750 repayment to the wastewater fund. The line item revenues are on page 69.
I'm trying to remember. The water system master plan was adopted. Do you remember when? Do you remember?
12, I believe.
Right. I mean, it was okay.
The updated one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, not the original.
Right.
Right, the
So,
original one.
I'm not sure if you all have, because you came on the board after that, have received a copy of that, or if not,
I don't have a copy
it
of
would
it.
probably be really enlightening, because back when the board, the seated board approved that, it did lay out goals and objectives to maintain, maintain and improve the infrastructure. And we had a great presentation to really explain why we needed to do some investing in that, kind of the current status and where we needed to get to. So I don't know if we can get a copy for them,
Absolutely.
but that would probably be something.
I think that PDF is on the website, because I remember looking at that.
Okay.
So either it was sent to me or I got I
Okay.
saw it on the website.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I know when new board members come on, you get so much stuff. You may just not have weeded through it, but if you do not have it, we can certainly be
Okay.
sure that you're
Yeah, I'm
provided a
pretty sure I've
copy.
seen that.
Yeah, it helped, at least in my mind back then, laying out that plan. So when you get to the budget time, you're like, okay, right, this is what we agreed. And back when they presented the full picture, you get why it's so important to start following that plan to maintain the integrity of the system and protect it. So
It is basically a pay-as-you-go system until we get really huge purchases, like maybe a new water tank or, various other things that the current fees won't cover, and then we plan to borrow money then. But this plan pretty much is on pay-as-you-go until, some really increased
Okay.
expenses.
On tab 22, if you're ready for the expenditures, those are the by account, and then on tab 23, we actually get into the individual departments. And then on over to tab 24 actually gets us to the administration division. The highlights are pretty much the same as what we've discussed in the general fund admin. Page 77 has your line item expenditures.
have any questions?
Tab 25 takes us to the water plant division. Page 80, just some highlights. The wholesale water rate is $1.710 per 1,000 gallons. This is what we actually paid Dare County for the water. Complete replacement of the 8th Street pumps. Replace the variable frequency drives for pumps 2 and 3. This follows the water system master plan. and recommending replacement of a 2000 Ford Ranger pickup. Now, you will notice in the water fund, we do not lease purchase vehicles, we pay cash. It's a difference in the general fund and an enterprise fund.
Historically, we haven't.
Historically, we haven't, yes. That would be our recommendation, to continue that.
Any questions?
I guess just a general question. Do the vehicles cost more if we're not leasing them?
Well,
Or-
the only additional cost obviously would, for the leasing obviously is the interest.
Okay. I'm just looking at the replacement is 29,000.
But that's
And-
gonna include the excise tax, whereas when we do the
The lease payments have it
lease
separated
payments
line
show
item.
that separate.
Okay.
We show that separate, and then, also, I think the water department usually has racks and various other things that we try to put everything into the vehicle.
Okay, so that's a
to put it road
turnkey
ready.
price to be road ready. Okay. Because I'm just looking back at the
Right.
at the police cars, and they're 30,000, and I know there's a lot of stuff in those too. So
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they put lights and, it's
Right.
all ready to turnkey package.
okay.
Rock and roll.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Okay, tab 26 will take you to the Water Systems Department. Highlights on 84. It does include the funding for engineering and construction of water line conflicts and water lines associated with the street construction. The funds are included for AC pipe replacement as outlined in the Water System Master Plan. Also for the meter replacement program with large meter and small meters associated with the change-out program. Repairs to the 2003 air compressor and replacement of a 2004 F-250 pickup. Line item on page 85. And the capital on 86. And obviously, as you can see, the AC pipe replacement project is substantial.
We plan to, as you saw in the revenues, there's an appropriation of fund balance or retained earnings of $1.1 million, $1,114,000 to cover that cost. So those funds are there.
This says this is recommended. That's not here.
What page are you on?
86.
I think we're doing repairs to that, but we were gonna replace it, but now we're just repairing
Okay.
it and not replacing it.
Okay,
I
so
think
we,
the-
so we increased
I think the master plan called for a replacement, but we're just gonna repair what we
it.
have.
Okay,
The compressor?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay,
Low hours, the engine's good, it's just the cabinet that it's in was.
okay,
Mhm.
all right,
Yeah,
good.
I think
good.
the plan was to replace it.
Right, it
so-
was, okay. All right, well, that's good.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay.
And then tab 27, wastewater, your wastewater revenues. And basically the, maintains the current rate structure that's outlined in the water fund, wastewater fund capital improvement plan. And tab 30 will get us, I'm sorry, excuse me, page 92 the operation and maintenance of the plant continues to be contracted. It does include the repayment to the water fund that we spoke about. Recommending pump station number 1, wet well rehabilitation per wastewater master plan. Expenditures on 93, and the capital for the wet well rehab on page 94.
That just doesn't even sound good.
Doesn't look like it'd be so hard to say, but it is.
Any questions? Okay. Great. Any overall questions on anything that's presented? What kind of guidance, feedback, general impression? Basically, kind of where we are is if there's any direction that we need to or want to give staff to make changes, this is a good opportunity to do that so they can start looking at it. This is not the only opportunity. We do have the public hearing scheduled on June 9th, where we will then take public input. So if they watch this meeting before that, they'll have a chance to go through this and provide comments. If there's any guidance you're prepared to give tonight, then certainly by all means, let's do that, or discussion you want to have. The other thought would be, if you don't and you're still formulating that, then we receive public comment on June 9th. If we need to schedule another session to provide any new guidance, then we can always do that based on either your thoughts or the public's comments that you've heard. We have to adopt a budget before the end of June. So, if the budget that's in front of you is not something you could adopt, then we have to make sure we're communicating what changes, what form it needs to get in to be able to adopt it. So this may seem like a really silly conversation for me to be having, but I guess it's just laying the plan out that what we can't do as a board is get to the last meeting in June and refuse to adopt the budget because we don't like it. I mean, we have to do something. So at that point, if that's whatever our second meeting is, then we'd have to schedule another meeting to make sure that before June 30th, we're adopting a budget for the town. So it's just kind of to lay out our plan. But certainly I'm not opposed to, if we need to have another work session to review whatever public comments we receive, we can do that as well. So, it is 7:45. Would anyone like to make comments and start any general discussion? Or what's the pleasure of the board with what you've received tonight?
I personally don't have anything further to discuss tonight. I can go home and reread it with some information we've garnered tonight through our discussion and the information we've gotten from staff. And even in addition to that, I don't see anything here that's going to slow it down for me. So, unless the public has pitchforks and torches, you know. So.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I concur completely.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go back through it again.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the good thing is the nice thing about doing the budget now, having the budget workshop now, is we do have time. And the other nice thing with having the public hearing early in the month is we do have an opportunity to hear what feedback they bring and take that into consideration with what we know.
And please, if there's any questions that you have, whether it be for me or Beverly or any of the department heads, specifically about their budgets, please contact us. Be happy to because it's a lot. It's a lot even when you do it every year, and for it to be new, it's a lot to grasp. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
So the only thing that we have directed, if I understand correctly tonight, the only change is we have asked staff to fund the fireworks. And so you'll go back and tweak and see where we can,
Well,
or are you going to?
That would be, we would not actually change anything in the recommended budget. Where that would show is in your adopted budget. That 15,000 would be added. At this point, what I would recommend, since we did get the consensus to come back to you at the June 9th meeting, closing out that account for the
Take it out of the
fire
total.
department, which is going to add about 80,000, give or take, to the fund balance. And as I stated, the fund balance appropriation is very reasonable, and we would be comfortable with an additional 15,000 out of the fund balance.
Okay.
Fireworks, I think it's 20. Is it
I think
20?
it's
I'm
20.
sorry, 20. Okay, I think it's 20,000 for fireworks. Mary,
What's this
do you
year?
remember fireworks, 15 or 20? Okay, 20. I guess the 15 is when we get the grant, but we would want to budget for the full amount.
The grant
Yeah.
this time was
Seven
seven
something,
something, so
seven
we ended
something.
up paying 13 something.
I think in years past, it's been around 15, but the most recent bids were 20.
Okay.
Okay.
You're right. I
You're
think
right.
they've just been.
Okay.
It's gone up, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the requirements for them have gone up. The
Mhm.
safety
Yes.
requirements have gone up, and their cost for that alone is more, and their required certifications. So that would make sense, it would be more.
Okay.
So a couple things, and I'm not sure if it, kind of like the 8th Street comment, I don't know if it goes into this level of the budget, but a couple things that I know that I'd like to see happen is I'd love to see another sidewalk project. I mean, we're doing almost 4,200 feet, but it would be nice to be able to do something, especially if we could do it at a similar cost as to what we did. And then the other was the beach access improvements.
And this setting is where those conversations need to be had, whether it's this evening or a workshop, which I think that's a good idea that the mayor was suggesting, that after your public comment, so that you then have those comments to
comments as well.
consider as well. But the sidewalk project, anything Commissioner Hogan was talking about with the frog pond, the beach accesses, I know there was some discussion about possible additional porta-johns. You know, this is the time that needs to be had so that we can get it in the budget, if that's the desire of the board.
Yeah, so my recommendation is let's bring your calendars to the meeting on June 9th. So at that meeting, after we receive public comment, at some point during the night, maybe even in response to public comment, we'll actually set another
So we can be
budget
prepared to
workshop.
schedule that. Okay. Sounds good.
Did you have,
Pardon me?
were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say, we don't need to discuss it tonight, but you're talking about putting sidewalks in places, obviously, we haven't already put them, like up north, for instance.
Right. I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
nice to keep some of that momentum going. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We get a
I
lot
think
of
it'd
good
be,
feedback.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it'd be a good
been-
idea if we could allot, an amount of money
Right.
to get another part done, and maybe then it might take 2 budget cycles to get, I think that's a good idea.
Well, I also think that, you would really want to consider too, going back to the Visitors Bureau for some grant funding for that. And get in that cycle.
Right.
True. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those grants, I guess, the grants are due, middle of August. So
Okay.
Okay.
if that's the desire, we need,
Yep. Get moving.
You could
Okay.
whip one up, couldn't you, by then?
I just need to know what we're doing.
That's right,
I
okay.
gotta have some good cost estimates and know where we're doing it, so
Okay.
that's the long part, writing the grants, definitely the shorter part of that process.
You always do a good job with that, thank you.
Okay, so we have our plan. forward? Okay. Do I have any old business on the agenda? I do not have an agenda this evening. Commissioner's agenda?
I don't have anything tonight.
Nothing for me tonight.
I was thinking about the flag thing still, and I want to run some ideas by you guys. What you thought, like the non-traditional flags, the sail flags, those flags, I guess, seem to be the biggest problem. So what about doing away with flags that have advertisements on it, for example, like the 2-for-1 pizzas or tacos or whatever, and make it so they have to have the business name on it and not an advertisement. Also, maybe restrict them to only being allowed through the high season, like the Friday before Memorial Day up until the Friday after Labor Day. And other than that, they're off the streets, like unless it's that time frame.
Yeah, Michael and I talked a little bit about this earlier today, and we had some, exaggerated hypotheticals that a place could put out a feather flag with their menu on it. And getting kind of crazy, but there's no way to stop that at this point. And the idea would be to reiterate the name of the business, period, or just have a decorative flag, colored flag that just moves and gets people's attention. Instead of saying, here's what we have. Because that's more, I think it's a little bit different. And I think you explained it as to be like, it's not just something to get somebody's attention. It's,
right.
It's like having a sale.
Yeah, it's a billboard at this point. This is what they were coming to. It's no longer a flag. It's an advertisement for something that they have to offer. And I don't think we allow billboards, right? So it's a technical thing that they're getting away with essentially.
Like I say, if you take some of those things to the extremes, it could get, I don't know. I don't know. Something to think about.
Would we like to put this topic on an upcoming agenda under old business to revisit? I think it was.
Well, the current direction that the staff is working under was to look at something that Commissioner Appleman had discussed, and I'm not going to get it exactly right with not having it in front of me, but it had to do with, instead of the 2 inches, maybe 50%, and not limiting at strip number malls. In a conversation with Meredith today, I think we may have misinformed the board at the last meeting. It would appear that change would require it going back to another public hearing, but not necessarily the planning board, Meredith?
That change would be a new zoning amendment or a substantial change to the zoning amendment that y'all held the public hearing on. So any language that was developed has to go through the planning board. For planning board recommendation, a new hearing would need to be set, and you would have to have the hearing, and then you would be free to do what you want with the ordinance. What Michael just mentioned would be the same process.
Right.
It's a substantial change. Anything non-substantial changes is if you change the 2 inches, it was in the previous to 3. That's
right.
Still in the same general box of the amendment. But the changes that the board's discussed, because they're to the zoning ordinance, would have to go back to the planning board.
So it would behoove us to discuss it at some point and come to one thing that we would want you to do, instead of saying, do
Right.
this and then go through that process and then come back and say, well, try this and go through the process. So we should have a discussion here, and including what Travis recommended.
At last meeting.
Right, at the
Unless the desire of the board, as Meredith said, was to do something that was non-substantial, like 2 to 3, or adopt it as it was presented to you before.
Right, which is,
Well, and I'll tell
You would need to re-advertise if you wanted to
Right, it
adopt
would
it
need,
as
you would
it
need
was
to
done
instruct us to
before.
put it on the agenda and it be advertised.
Right. My intention was to have a bit of a compromise and not generate an additional amount of work. I had to
Right.
filter that a little bit. I mean, I'm not really for the original ordinance, so I'm not sure, where we would go from that anyway.
So
I mean,
would the
obviously,
board,
I'm
would the
one of-
board simply like for us, for the purpose of the June 9th meeting, to put it on the agenda as old business, have a copy of what you looked at and was not voted for at the previous meeting, and let you have the discussion at the June 9th meeting to give staff direction on where you would like to go with it? Because I'm not feeling that we're there.
We're not there,
That's-
and,
yeah.
and I don't think we're gonna get there tonight. I'm not encouraging us to try, being that it's, 5 till 8, so
No, because
that's
I
what
think we
I would
actually
like to
need,
see.
we need a document.
Right, to work from.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we okay with that under old
Sure.
business on June 9th? Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to send it back all the way back through a process when we're not.
When we're
We're not ready.
there.
Right.
Until we have a,
We don't have
until we
enough
have a
agreement.
consensus of
Right.
some
Right,
sort, yeah.
absolutely. There's not enough direction. Okay, thank you. All right, town manager's agenda?
No, ma'am.
No town attorney?
No, ma'am.
Consent agenda?
No, ma'am.
And public comment. Is there anyone? Chip, I think you're the public. Would you like to
Here.
speak tonight?
Thanks for sitting through the whole meeting.
Didn't even have a budget to look at like everybody else.
Oh.
Sorry I mentioned that.
2.5 hours later. Is that your comment?
That was my comment.
All right. Thanks for being here. Okay, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Okay.
we usually.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you, guys.
Chip, you can buy
Good
one.
night. Thank
There- I
you.
think it's 20.